9 books every aspiring millionaire must read. You've been asking for a video like this. What books do I actually recommend? I always hesitate to recommend because it depends on your circumstances. But today I'm going to give you some of the books that I believe that every aspiring millionaire must read. You see, I read a lot of books. And I don't just read books, I actually use books, because knowledge is not power, but applied knowledge is power. And over the years, I don't think I have read less than a book a week. That's kind of my average. Now, unless I'm working on some important project that I get very, very busy, or I'm traveling. But even when I'm traveling, I always have some books with me that I read. So if I'm working on something, there may be a period of time for a few months that I don't read a whole lot. But on average today, I read about 3 to 4 books a week. That's my average, because leaders are readers and readers are leaders. In order to be better, you have to learn more. Book number 1, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, chances are you've already heard of the book or you've read the book. It's a very, very popular book on personal finance. Now, within the book, Robert talks about the difference between an asset and a liability. And an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Simply put, an asset is something that feeds you, and a liability is something that eats you. And poor people have a lot of expenses, and middle class, they buy liabilities thinking that they are assets, and rich people, they have assets. And Robert also talks about the concept of creating or acquiring assets that produces cash flow, and then you use that cash flow to fund your ideal lifestyle. Great book. Book number 2, Principles by Ray Dalio. Now, Ray is a self-made billionaire. Now, within this book, he doesn't just talk about money. Instead, he talks about principles. He gives all the reader a framework on how to make a better and more informed decision. It teaches you critical thinking, to be more self-aware. Because I think nowadays, everybody is looking for the quick fix and gimmicks, and yet most people, they forget about principles. You see, principles rarely change. Now, tactics could change, but principles are the fundamentals, what guides our decision-making process. So, Principles, phenomenal book. Book number 3 that every aspiring millionaire should read, and that is The Success System That Never Fails by W. Clement Stone. You probably heard of the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and that's a great book. Everybody should read that book. But another book that is not as popular, that I think is just critical, is The Success System That Never Fails. Now, you may not know this, but in the later years of Napoleon Hill, W. Clement Stone at the time was running an insurance company that was generating millions and millions and millions of dollars in revenue. And he actually hired Napoleon Hill to be his sales trainer for his organization. And one of the key things that I learned, that I picked up from this particular book, is the importance of your environment. And how do you structure your environment that actually supports you? Not working against you, but working for you, right? That I'm not just talking about your physical environment, but also who you surround yourself with, right? The people around you. So the power of your environment, the success system that never fails. Book number 4 that every aspiring millionaire should read is my new book, Unlock It. I've taken some of the most important lessons I've learned in the last 20 years and I put them in this book. And the subtitle is The Master Key to Wealth, Success, and Significance. Now, what does it mean to unlock it? For some, it may be unlock that potential that you know you have within you. For some, it's unlocking the profits within your business. For some, it's unlocking that income. Everybody is different, but this is my most important work. If you're a fan of mine, this is the book that you should get. And you can get it on Amazon or in any major bookstore. So get your copy today. Book number 5, Poor Charlie's Almanack. Now, you probably know Warren Buffett, but you may or may not know Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger is actually the business partner of Warren Buffett, also a self-made billionaire. Now, in this particular book, it is one of those books that I have read many, many times, right? And every single time I go back and revisit the book, I learn something new. You're gonna get all kinds of ideas. You're gonna learn about how to make good decisions. You're gonna learn about how to get good ideas. You're gonna learn how to look at the economy, how to invest. In fact, there's also a section on how to build a $1 trillion company. That's right, a $1 trillion company. It's a fascinating and powerful book, and Charlie is such a wise man that you can learn a lot from. So go ahead, get a copy of that as well. Book number 6, and that is The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, this book, it is such a little book, it would take you less than one evening to finish it. But when I first read the book, I learned about some very important fundamentals when it comes to money, investing, that I still use the same principles today. They are not sexy, they're not gimmicks, they're just proven principles that won't change today. It has not changed for hundreds of years, and it will not change for hundreds of years. It is one of those classic books. And it's simple as paying yourself first, right? Don't spend more than what you earn and invest the difference. Some basic fundamentals that I think every aspiring millionaire should absolutely learn and develop some of these habits. Book number 7, The Little Book of Common Sense Investing. You see, nowadays, common sense is not so common anymore, right? And common sense doesn't equal common practice. You see, nowadays on social media, on internet, everybody's chasing the gimmicks, right? The latest investment fact. Is it the, cryptocurrency or forex trading or whatever it is, right? And a lot of people, they forget the fundamentals. What makes most people millionaires? Stocks and real estate. And when it comes to stocks, as simple as putting a little bit of money aside, investing for the long term. And this is not the only investment plan. It's not the only thing that I recommend, but low cost index fund. In this little book, it talks about how you could secure your financial future by just putting a little bit of money aside every month and let the power, the miracle of compound interest works for you. And over a long period of time, and how you can become a millionaire. Highly recommend. Book number 8, How to Be Rich by J. Paul Getty. Now, you should probably know the Getty name. J. Paul Getty, one of the richest men of our time. If you want to be a millionaire, you want to be wealthy, there's no better person to learn from. Now, within this book, it's very interesting because the book is not how to get rich, it's how to be rich. Now, I'm not gonna spoil the surprises, but read that book and you see the way that a self-made billionaire views money, views life. Now, I don't agree with everything he talks about. I don't agree with all his principles, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that we cannot learn from him, right? It doesn't mean that we cannot learn from other people. But this is one of those books that I think it's very interesting. It gives you a glimpse of how one of the richest men of our time thinks about things, thinks about business, thinks about money, and even thinks about family. Book number 9, The Latte Factor, Why You Don't Need to Be Rich to Live Rich. Now, I've had the privilege of having the author David on my show, The Dan Lok Show. By the way, if you're not a subscriber of my podcast, you could go to www.danlokshow and you can get hundreds of episodes of some of the most fascinating interviews that I've done with entrepreneurs, CEOs, and various very successful people, some of the most successful people that I know. In terms of this book, it talks about some of the keys to financial freedom and why you don't need fancy techniques and why in some way that we are actually richer than we think. And I love how some of David's principles, something that you could apply, just making a few tweaks in your finances, some of the day-to-day habits you have, right? The latte factor, and you'll read the book and know what the latte factor is. And again, this is not the only book that you should read, and I don't agree with everything that David talks about. I love the guy, but something that you could learn from. So those are the 9 books that I believe every aspiring millionaire should read and must read. These are not the only books that I recommend. I have a lot more books that I want to recommend. If you enjoyed this video, you have to let me know. Comment below, give me a like, hit the subscribe button so that I know this is something that you want more of. If you want me to explain and recommend more books, or you want me to review certain books and actually talk about certain specific book, let me know and comment below. Because usually I have a very unique perspective that is different from most people, right? If this is the type of videos that you want to see more of, make sure you let me know. Then I would consider maybe doing a brand new series called Millionaire Book Club that I will review, I will recommend the different books that I have read or maybe I'm reading, depends on your circumstances, on business, on entrepreneurship, on sales, on productivity, on investing. So comment below and let me know. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.